Hi, my name is Brenna Carleton Greene, and I am submitting for the role of Maggie in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
One of those no-neck monsters threw a hot butter biscuit at my dress, so I have to change. Well, I just remarked that one of those no-neck monsters messed up my lovely lace dress, and so I have to change. They've got no necks. Well, none visible. They're just fat little heads sit on fat little bodies with no connection. It's too bad they've got no necks, because they've got no necks to wring. Do you hear them? You hear them screaming? I don't even know where their voice boxes are located since they've got no necks. Oh, I'll tell you, I was so nervous at that dinner table tonight that I thought I would throw my head back and utter a scream. I said to your charming sister-in-law, "May, honey, don't you think you could feed those precious little things at a separate table with an oilcloth cover? They just make such a mess, and the lace cloth looks so pretty." Well, she looked at me with enormous eyes, and she said, "Oh no, on Big Daddy's birthday, oh, he'd never forgive me." Well, I'll have you know that Big Daddy hadn't been at that table for more than 2 minutes with those no-name monsters just slobbering and drooling all over their food before he threw down his fork and shouted, "For God's sake, Scooper, go put those pigs in a trough in the kitchen." Well, I'll tell you, I could have died. Big Daddy shares my attitude towards those two. Well, as for me, well, I make him laugh now and then, so he tolerates me. In fact, I always did suspect that Big Daddy had a little unconscious lick for me. Why are you looking at me like that? The way you were looking at me just now when I caught your eye in the mirror before you started whistling. I don't know how to describe it, but it froze my blood. I've caught you looking at me like that so often lately. What are you thinking about when you look at me like that? Well, don't you know that I know that I've gone through this hideous transformation. I've become hard and frantic and cruel. That's what you've been observing in me. I mean, how could you not observe it in me? It's all right. I'm not thin-skinned anymore. I can't afford to be thin-skinned anymore. But Brick, I get lonely. Very. Sometimes living with the one you love can be even lonelier than living alone if the one you love doesn't love you. I always thought drinking men lost their looks, but I was plainly mistaken. You're the only drinking man I know that never seems to put any fat on. Well, sooner or later, it's bound to soften you up. It was just beginning to soften up Skipper when... I'm sorry. I never could keep my finger off a sore. I wish you would love your looks. If you did, it'd make the martyrdom of St. Maggie a little more bearable. But no such goddamn luck. I actually believe you've gotten better looking since you've been on the bottle. Yeah, a person who didn't know you would think you've never had a strange nerve or strained muscle in your entire body. Of course, you always did have that sort of detached quality about yourself, as if you're playing a game and you had no concern whether you won or lost. Well, now that you've lost the game, well, not lost, just quit playing. You have this certain charm that really only happens with the very old or the hopelessly sick. The charm of the defeated. You look so cool. So cool, so enviably cool. They're playing croquet. The moon's just appeared. It's white, but just the beginning of turning yellow. You were a wonderful lover. Such a wonderful person to go to bed with. And I think it's because you were really indifferent to it. Isn't that right? Never had any anxiety about it. Just did it naturally, easily, slowly and calmly, with absolute confidence, perfectly calm. It was more like opening a door for a lady or showing her to her table versus any expression of longing for her. Your indifference made you a wonderful lovemaker. Strange, but true. You know, if I thought that you were never gonna make love to me ever again, I would go downstairs to the kitchen and I would pull out the longest and sharpest knife I would find and I would stick it straight through my heart. I swear that I would. But the one thing about me is that I don't have the charm of the defeated. My hat is still in the race and I am determined to win. What's the victory of a cat on a hot tin roof? I wish I knew. Just staying on it, I guess. As long as you can. Later tonight, I'm gonna tell you that I love you. And I hope at that point you're drunk enough that you believe me. Yeah, they're playing croquet. Big Daddy is dying of cancer. What were you thinking about when I caught you looking at me earlier tonight? Were you thinking about Skipper? Oh, excuse me. Forgive me, but the laws of silence don't work. The laws of silence don't work. The laws of silence don't work. When you have something festering inside you in your memory or your imagination, the laws of silence don't work. It's like shutting the door and locking it on a house fire and just forgetting about it, hoping it puts it out. Or forgetting about a fire doesn't putting it out. Silence only magnifies it. It grows and it festers, becomes malignant.